Presidential campaigns enter home stretch as Saturday polls loom larger. Who leads? Political parties have polls end in sight and in last-minute rush for voters' endorsement. Over and out, we speak to the electorate who made INEC's deadline and who did not. Welcome to The Ballot. My name is Fisayo Gunfi. Of course, you know The Ballot is NTA's comprehensive pre-election program. And of course, we are in the home stretch, 5 days to go and counting. Now, this is the week we've been waiting for. Some would say it's been 4 years coming. For everyone involved in the 2019 general elections, the reality is close enough now to touch. Analysis will soon give way to actuality, simulation to authentic situation, and permutations to actual results. Now, as sure as you can hear the clock ticking, you also feel some hearts beating, because the individual and collective fates of the politicians no longer lie in their hands, but in the hands of you, the voter. Now, in the course of the program, we'll be speaking about the voters and the 3 extra days that eventually terminated today. We'll see exactly what happened in the course of the day and who got the permanent voters card and who did not. Of course, we'll also be talking about politicians and their last-minute rush for voters. We're talking about some vituperations and vitriolic sentiments in the press as the elections continue to come closer. But before all that, of course, we'll be talking about some people who have been working behind the scenes to make sure that their candidates are put forward and put forward in the best possible light. Today we'll start with the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, and joining us tonight is Dr. Muhammad Mahmood Abubakar. He is the Director General Buhari Support Group, BSO. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me quickly ask you, as a sports fan, how is the mood in camp?
Exciting. We are ready. Everything is set to go. And
you've been going around the country. What has been the response of voters? Prospective voters.
Exactly. They are also in that mood. They are ready to go back to the polls and re-elect the ruling party, because they have seen what has happened from the last in the last 3.5 years. They know where we are coming from and where we are today.
Well, this is the home stretch. We've seen a lot of rallies and all that. Is the strategy going to be different? Is it door-to-door now? Is it consolidating on some of the places you know that you have some, sizable following? Or are you changing track as far as, or is just more of the same? Just enlighten us.
Well, consolidation, but first of all, door-to-door. Going to the people personally and meeting with the people and telling them so far what we have achieved in the last 3.5 years and what is to come in the next 4 years by the grace of God when the president gets re-elected. And also to let them know that so much has been done and we need to personally reach out just so that the people know that the government has been with them ever since, because of all the programs that were put in place. And at the final stretch, now we are reaching out to the people personally and telling them, okay, here we are again, and this is our scorecard. You tell us.
As an observer, call me a spectator if you like, from the sidelines, we are looking at some of the, crowd when you move to the zones and all that. And putting some of these materials together, we say crowd, a lot of crowd in your camp, a lot of crowd in other camps as well. Scientifically, how do you perhaps equate this to acceptance? Is there any way to know? Because perhaps some of this crowd to go to other places as well. Is it a matter of spectacle, or is it a reliable data in terms of acceptance and popularity?
Let me say something about crowd. There are crowds and there are crowds. The crowds, from the beginning of Mr. President's political career, he has had solid backing from people. He has that appeal. So the crowd that you see coming to our rallies are actually true crowd. They are not crowds that are either rented, borrowed, or crowd that are just there for the purpose of it. No. It's crowd that believe in the president himself. It's crowd that believe in the integrity of the president. It's crowd that believe that, yes, this is something for real. We are not buying anything, but actually telling people what needs to be done, what must be done, and what is being done.
For Nigerians watching us, and myself as the anchor of today's show, I feel a bit encouraged by your tone, because in the last few weeks,
Yes.
Voters and people watching the Nigerian electoral space have been a bit worried,
Yes.
because of the vituperative exchange, crossfire in the press and what we do. Every space, even in the internet and all that. Now, are you toning this down a bit so that the voter will now come to the fore instead of this what we've been saying?
Well, let me say something. Right from the beginning, we have not been known to just be firing indiscriminately. No, we are talking about substance, about issues, things that matter to the people, not just talking. We are not going after a particular person, a candidate. No, about what is really on the ground. What do we need to do to set this country straight? What do we need to change and go back to the road to prosperity and sustainability, good governance? So this is what it's all about. We are not going to be engaging in subjective issues, but rather objective. Where is Nigeria? Where does Nigeria want to be in the next 4 years? This is what we are talking about.
All right. Now, there is also another worry, especially for a ruling party, and not just yours,
Yes.
in past governments as well. When the elections are around the corner, we see perhaps what people term as a lull in governance. Is that happening now? In terms of, when you go to campaign grounds, does that perhaps, slow down the work of the state itself?
Well, no, because there are people who will, for example, take the president, for example. He is still getting his job done because there are other lieutenants that can carry out the campaign. If he takes out 2 hours, 3 hours, or one part of the day to go and do something, to go and campaign, to go to rallies or town hall meetings, you still have other lieutenants that are taking care of the job that should have been done that particular day. And he stated why he has even a co-chair in the name of Aswaju Tinubu, His Excellency, so that the state job will not suffer. He has stated this right from the start, and that is exactly what is happening.
All right. We spoke earlier about crossfire,
Yes.
and all kinds of accusations out there. Is it your hope, just like it's our, is your hope that at the end of the process, there will be a brotherly handshake between you and the other contestants after some of the visible bad blood that we have seen in the past few weeks?
Absolutely. We have always engaged in politics without bitterness. Politics, at some point, yes, we make some hot exchanges and things like that, but we should always understand that in the end, we are Nigerians. We'll have to come back and get together and work together, regardless of party affiliation. But if we put that first, then in the end, you find that even if the ruling party is doing the right thing, the opposition, if it's just to criticize, then we're doing a disservice to Nigerian. So yes, I can assure you that after the polls, just as it has happened before, we will still embrace each other. We will still have handshakes. We will still be friends and family, because we have families that are some are in PDP, some in APC, some in other parties. Are they going to break apart because of politics? No, I don't. I've never engaged in politics with bitterness.
All right, you have been an active player in politics.
Yes.
You've participated at the legislative level as well.
Yes, yes.
Now, looking at the Fourth Republic, would you say Nigeria, in all its essence, is maturing as a political entity?
Yes, we are. Slowly and slow and steady, we are maturing. You see, it's not easy, after all the country that has gone through, to just overnight change into a big political or democratic powerhouse. But we are learning, we are watching. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It has already been invented. All we have to do is to make it better. And I think Nigeria is gaining some grounds in good democratic activities. And so I don't see us regressing, but rather progressing. Of course, you may have this time when there will be the exchanges that you mentioned. It may sound as if something is breaking up. No, I guess it's just the nature of our politics here. But in the end, you always find that people become friends once again.
Let me take you up on that as a follow-up. Yeah. We've seen this, you know, in terms of, you know, a maturity generally as a political entity.
Yeah.
But it brings us to the issue of ideology. Even in some days to the election, we're still seeing people cross-carpeting.
Yes.
Where is the place of ideology in Nigerian politics?
There is. We still have. Now, the thing is, like I said, the maturity will come eventually. You have, even today, in countries like UK, like America and other places, once in a great while you have this cross-carpeting.
But in our own cases, weekly.
Yes, weekly.
Daily.
It's true. Maybe during their own time, when they are at our age, maturing, a lot of cross-carpeting has taken place. So I can assure you, some more years to come now, you will see less and less. Well, the issue of ideology. This time around, people are just looking at, okay, I just want to be with the winning party, or I just want to do simple disagreement. You will want to cross. Now, because we are putting, a lot of politicians are not putting the people first. Because if you are putting the people first, it's not that somebody has wronged you in this particular party. No, no. What can you do? That party, has it got the equipment to get the job done? If yes, then stay around, forget about you. Stay around and put hands together and move the country forward. That will come eventually. But for now, yes, we will still see cross-carpeting. But that does not mean we are not mature.
Some even say the carpet is wearing thin.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of going up and down on it. But I am sure that things will get better.
What will be your word to your supporters in your party, as well as perhaps the undecided voter at this time?
My word is, the ruling party today, being led by the President, Muhammadu Buhari, is an example of a turnaround. 3.5 years ago, we know where we were, with all kinds of problems, be it security, be it lack of infrastructure, be it economy, be it agriculture, you name it, it's all there. Now today, the story is different. Better power supply, infrastructure, railroad service in places that have not seen railroads for the last 40 years, agriculture. Farmers today are some of the richest people in this country, and so many other things that have changed.
I know the list is endless. Dr. Mahmood, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps we'll call you in subsequent programs.
Thank you.
All right, talking about the voter, the Independent National Electoral Commission gave 3 extra days for the collection of the PVCs. By PVCs, of course, you know, permanent voters' cards. Today, it ended temporarily, of course, but let's see who made it and who did not.
I came for it, but it seems it's not ready or something. They said the card has not been printed or the card is not ready. I can check back after election.
Yes, I'm able to meet the deadline because I came in the morning, population is much. They asked me to come back, but I came back, I still meet up.
So I've been here, this is my 3rd time, and it's not available. So I'm feeling stressed up and disappointed.
Yes, I got mine. I see that they would not want to enfranchise people from not coming out to vote. So with this, with the extension, it will make more people to participate in the election process.
I couldn't meet the deadline. Today you saw me here, is the 11th time for me to be here. Searching for my PVC, yet I didn't even get it.
I got my PVC despite the fact that I closed late at work. I just said let me rush and come today being the last day if I could get the PVC, and luckily for me when I came here I got my PVC.
Congratulations to Promise and Alex, of course, who got it at the very final moment. Now, security is a key component of a hitch-free exercise. Last week, we had the first Public Relations Officer, ACP Frank Mbai, in our studio. In terms of first-hand experience, however, former Inspector General of Police Suleiman Abba spoke to me over the weekend on areas to be vigilant in ensuring a seamless process. Welcome to the ballot.
Thank you very much.
it's just a couple of days now to the election. We are literally counting hours. At this time, what should security agencies be watching out for?
Well, elections generally are activities of millions of people in Nigeria. A situation where we have about 80 million registered voters, and it's expected that over 40 million Nigerians will go out and cast their votes. It is almost certain that you should expect quite a number of threats to whatever arrangements you've made. So I think at this moment, security agencies should be concentrating on those threats, be able to re-strategize this time on how to manage the impending threats. And these are threats that have to do with, disturbing, not preventing this time, disturbing those who have made up their minds to cast their votes. A situation where people who want to discredit the process would try as much as possible to prevent the majority of registered voters from casting their votes, especially those who have almost realized by now that they will not win the elections.
Now, what is the role of motivation for the police officer? At this time, people are being deployed sometimes to new terrains, and they'll be there for days, making sure that men and materials are, giving the adequate security. What is the role of motivation for the policeman who is being deployed?
Well, of course, elections are close to an ad hoc activity, and so there is nothing wrong in making arrangements to give them special allowances for that. But apart from that, the conduct of an election is a normal civil activity which the police and all other security agencies are expected to work almost round the clock to make sure that it is a success. After all, the success of having a legitimate government is most likely it will bring in sanity, in the system, which directly would prevent lawlessness, because it's an acceptable government. Everybody will now come round to ensure that the government succeeds. And where there is calmness, where there is peace, the police and other security agencies benefit more because their work is made easier. And so motivating them with allowances, nothing bad about it. I remember in 2015, it was almost less than 10 days to the elections that we were given funds. But quickly we found a way of solving the problem. We made sure we paid every policeman his allowance through his bank account. And that helped because they were happy. They knew that the leadership did not tamper with their rights. And so they took our instructions seriously. Mike, we sensitized them to be impartial, to be non-partisan, and to be civil. So we will expect them to do what we directed them to do. And that motivation, I'm sure, helped in making sure that they live up to expectations.
It's almost about 120,000 polling units nationwide.
Yes.
That means that men and resources will be stretched thin in terms of the police and other sister agencies. This sometimes gives room for nefarious activities outside of election, because of course, the policemen are already stretched thin. Is there, some way that the normal activities could also be policed apart from elections?
Oh, absolutely. Remember that even though the law gives the responsibility of protecting the electoral process, the polling and so on, mainly to the police. Remember that all other security agencies also have a responsibility in maintaining the peace and so on. But the fact that they synergize, they train together, they arrange on how to go about protecting the polling activities before, during, and after. They also, the police in particular, make adequate arrangements for other members of the public. Remember, non-voters too have also the right to be protected. Whether you want to go and vote or not, it is not an offense, so to say. If you decide to stay back, the police has a responsibility to protect you. And remember, the threats I was talking about, there are those who are not targeting the election activities itself. Even if they target people who are not participating in the election, it can still add, if you like, disrupt the credibility of the election itself. So normally, every police command makes arrangements in its operation order for security of non-participating areas and non-participating members of the populace, so that adequate protection is given to all.
With what you have seen on ground, preparations from different law enforcement agencies, what is on ground at the moment, are you confident
Absolutely.
that the process will be free?
Yes, I am, absolutely. I'm more impressed with the level of training, sensitization that has been going on. This is added to what was done in 2015. And I realize also, which I participated as well, quite a number of seminars and so on, and activities that had to do with training, formal and informal, were carried out. And I think the level of training of officers on their responsibilities on election duty, and particularly also the period after the election, where the violence or the threat to violence is small, I think is satisfactory.
Former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Suleiman Abba, thank you for coming on the back.
Thank you indeed. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you.
Former IGP Suleiman Abba was with us over the weekend. That has been the ballot. But before we go, there will be the telecast of the APC rally in Kwara State, presidential rally in Kwara State after this program. All NTA stations nationwide are expected to remain on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, it is 5 days to the much expected 2019 presidential election. Now, it is expected that you keep your diary close and your PVCs closer. My name is Fisai Ogunfuyi, thanking you for being a part of today's program. Tomorrow is another day. Let's do it again.